Sure.
Hamas was funded by Israel to some extent. It's not a controversial statement. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's an established fact by the current prime minister. Took money, gave it to Hamas. But if Israel-Hamas, it doesn't matter. It is immoral to kill people who haven't done anything wrong. That's why Hiroshima is a problem. First of all, the core of it is, why is Israel killing Christians who fund it? Americans fund Israel, fund the IDF. None of this would be possible without the United States and Christians in the United States. So they don't get to kill Christians. So don't tell me that the greatest threat we face is Iran. That's a lie. You're telling it on behalf of a foreign power. Maybe they feel the greatest threat they face is Iran. It's not the greatest threat we face. And our problems would include tens of millions of foreign nationals living illegally in my country. Nobody knows their identities. Drug crisis that's killed millions of Americans over the past 20 millions of Americans over the last 20 years. Iran is not even in the top 10 list.
In this video, Tucker Carlson completely embarrasses Piers Morgan while exposing the usual establishment accusations about the US strikes on Iran. Piers Morgan tries to trap Tucker Carlson with the same predictable questions and talking points, clearly thinking he can pressure him into a certain answer. But he quickly realizes he's dealing with the wrong person. He makes it very clear that he will not be bullied, called names, or forced to prove his American patriotism by defending any foreign country. Watch closely as Tucker Carlson flips the pressure back on Piers Morgan and turns the entire moment around. Let's roll the clip.
Anti-Semite, obviously. I'm not even anti-Israel on some principled level. I'm an American, and I think it's not only fair, but my moral obligation to find out what the hell was this. And you're calling me names is not going to stop me, because I've been here my whole life, and my family's been here a long time. I don't have to take orders from you about what I'm allowed to know or not know, because it's my country. That's the kind of democratic spirit that informed this country my entire life until 9/11, after which it became a thought crime to ask obvious questions. And I'm just not going to play along, period.
What happened with Iran, where Donald Trump decided to attack Iran? What did you feel about that? Given that it ended so apparently quickly, do you think Trump was vindicated in his short, sharp strategy there by bombing Iran? Or do you think that this will come back and haunt him down the line?
That this focus on Iran is not actually connected to our national security. How many Shiite terror attacks have there been in the United States in my lifetime? Let me do the math. 0. So don't tell me that the greatest threat we face is Iran. That's a lie. You're telling it on behalf of a foreign power. Maybe they feel the greatest threat they face is Iran. It's not the greatest threat we face. It's not an endorsement of Iran, okay? Doesn't make me a simp for the Shiites. It just makes me an American who's trying to think clearly about what our problems are. And our problems would include tens of millions of foreign nationals living illegally in my country. Nobody knows their identities. They would include a collapsing economy that makes it very hard for my children to have children and live the life that they grew up with, and their friends and all American kids. It would include a drug crisis that's killed millions of Americans over the past 20 millions of Americans over the last 20 years. Iran is not even in the top 10 list. So you can scream at me all you want and call me names and call me a bigot or whatever, but there's no evidence to support that. And so if the energy of the US government is focused on a threat that's not the primary threat to us, it is by definition ignoring threats that are. And that's a kind of negligence. And so I pointed that out. I was, roundly attacked. My family was attacked. Whatever. I don't care. It's true. And everyone kind of knows it's true. And being bullied by Ben Shapiro into pretending that it's not true, it's just not on the program for me at 56. I'm just not doing that anymore.
President Trump told reporters at the time that you had called him and apologized after you disagreed with the Israeli strikes on Iran. Is that true?
I am a champion apologizer. I really believe in apologies. I have a lot to apologize for. I always have. We all do. I certainly do. But I also think that, you shouldn't proffer a false apology. You should apologize for things that you did wrong, and I didn't do anything wrong there. And I wasn't attacking anybody. I wasn't attacking Israel. I wasn't attacking. First of all, the core of it is, why is Israel killing Christians who fund it? Americans fund Israel, fund the IDF. None of this would be possible without the United States and Christians in the United States. So they don't get to kill Christians. They don't get to block access to Christian holy sites. They don't get to allow people to spit on Christian clergy, and they definitely don't get permission from the country that funds them to blow up churches or Christian hospitals. And yet they have a lot. So what the hell is that? And that's my point. And in response, and I've asked that not as a hater of Israel, but as a Christian. So I've asked that pretty persistently for the last few years. I've really been attacked for it, but so what? And the response is, well, they're not actually, they're in Hamas. And so my question is, well, you're telling me simultaneously that Hamas is a religious group, they're Islamic extremists, but they also have Christian members? Like, how does that work? It doesn't make any sense at all. That was my point. I'm not endorsing Hamas. I didn't say they're not a terror group. That's a freaking lie. I said, if you're telling me they're a jihadi group, they're political extremist groups, by the way. Fatah, there were tons of Arab political terror groups that were secular, that did have Christians in them, by the way, a lot of Christians who were displaced in 1948 and they were radical or whatever. But do you see what I'm saying? There's like a childish internal contradiction there and now they don't want to deal with it. So it's like, shut up, Hamas support.
Yeah, I think what got people going.
You stop killing Christians. You're not allowed to do that.
I understood the bigger point.
What is that?
Yeah, listen,
what's the justification for that?
I understood the bigger.
Tucker Carlson shuts down Piers Morgan's Iran narrative in a powerful moment. Have you noticed something about interviewers like Piers Morgan? They always want to talk about problems in other countries, but rarely focus on the United States itself. In this heated exchange, Piers Morgan tries to trap Tucker Carlson with questions about foreign policy. He even brings up Donald Trump and the US strikes on Iran, hoping to push Tucker Carlson into a corner. But Tucker Carlson refuses to play along. Instead of falling into the usual trap, Tucker Carlson turns the conversation around. Tucker Carlson reminds everyone that the United States is facing huge problems at home. Millions of unidentified foreign nationals have crossed the border. The economy is struggling, and the country is still dealing with a deadly drug crisis that has taken millions of lives over the last 20 years. So why is Piers Morgan so focused on Iran while the American homeland is facing serious trouble? That is the moment where Tucker Carlson delivers a strong reality check. He calls out leaders for ignoring the problems inside their own country while constantly focusing on conflicts overseas. Watch closely as Tucker Carlson flips the pressure back on Piers Morgan and exposes the weakness in this entire argument.
Point you were making, like I said,
I'm a Christian. I don't have to put up with this anymore. I don't have to sit back and be like, and all these Christian ministers in the United States are like, oh, shut up.
Yeah.
We can't complain about a government that we fund killing Christians. I don't know who's writing the rules here, but I'm not obeying them. I'm not attacking Israel. I'm not an anti-Semite. You don't get to kill Christians who have nothing to do with this. It's the world's only religion that is not only non-violent, but considers retaliation a sin. Turn the other cheek. That's the religion. So why are you killing these people? Why don't you give me a straight answer? And calling me names is not going to deter me.
I understand the bigger point you made, but like I said, you definitely say...
It's the only point I'm making.
You definitely said in passing that they seem more like a political organization. So do you want to clarify what you meant by that bit? You sure?
Hamas was funded by Israel to some extent. It's not a controversial statement. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's an established fact by the current prime minister. Took money, gave it to Hamas. I meant what I said, which is they are either, I'm not questioning whether they've committed violence. They have. I'm opposed to that. I'm opposed to all violence, period. And I'm opposed to Hamas violence. I'm opposed to killing people. The question is, if you are telling me that they are inspired to kill because of their religious ideology, that is a different thing from people who are inspired to kill by their political ideology. Because if it's political, you can imagine an alliance with Christians. If it is a religious motivation, it is impossible to imagine, as I said in that clip, Christian accomplices. There weren't a lot of Christians supporting al-Qaeda because al-Qaeda was explicitly anti-Christian. So was ISIS. Fatah, which was, again, a radical or violence-prone Palestinian political organization, had Christian support. So which is it? That's my point. I was calling into question their lack of a coherent explanation for why Christians are being killed in a conflict that, from my perspective, doesn't seem to have anything to do with them. So why are you desecrating churches?
Do you view Hamas as a terrorist organization, as they've been prescribed in many countries, including the US?
I view Hamas killing people, especially civilians, as horrifying, immoral, and wrong. And if you think you're going to get me into some semantic game about who's a terrorist and who's not a terrorist, killing people who committed no crime is wrong, period. That's the basis of Christian belief. It's the basis of Western civilization. Dropping bombs on people who did nothing wrong is a crime, period. That is why we say we are better than the terrorists, because we don't kill people who did nothing wrong. And by definition, children haven't done anything wrong. So you are not allowed to kill them. And now there's an entire network of, not a television network, but a loosely aligned network, arguing that it's somehow wrong to say it's immoral to kill children. And I think it's immoral to kill children no matter who kills the children, whether it's the government of the United States, the government of Sri Lanka, the government of Belgium, the government of Israel, Hamas. It doesn't matter. It is immoral to kill people who haven't done anything wrong.
Piers Morgan tries to play word games, pressing Tucker Carlson on whether Hamas is a political organization or a terror group. Piers Morgan is clearly hunting for a quick soundbite he can twist later, but Tucker Carlson is far too sharp for these basic media traps. You have to hear the real facts because the mainstream media often twists words to fit their script. Tucker Carlson takes full control of the conversation. He gives a clear lesson on what true morality actually is. He says plainly that terrorism is the intentional killing of innocent people, period. He calls out the horrific actions of Hamas without holding back. But he also asks the hard questions. Why are American tax dollars funding conflicts in the Middle East where innocent people, including Christians, are dying, having their churches destroyed and being spat on? While Piers Morgan looks like he's just reading a rigid script, Tucker Carlson is thinking critically about human life and religious freedom. This is the moment where you see the stark difference between scripted media talking points and real critical thinking. When Piers Morgan cites the staggering number of over 20,000 children reportedly killed and tries to force Tucker Carlson into labeling the Israeli government as terrorists, Tucker Carlson refuses to play the media's rigged game. He calmly defends his position using historical facts, pointing out that any government drunk on hubris, even the United States when it dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, can commit terrible acts against innocent people. Tucker Carlson intellectually corners Piers Morgan by defining terrorism through a strict Western moral framework. The worst crime is punishing the innocent. He calls out American politicians like Ted Cruz for self-righteousness and highlights how, since 9/11, asking simple questions about where American money goes has become a thought crime. Tucker Carlson refuses to let Israel or any foreign nation be the measure of his character. His loyalty is to the United States, and he resents the media making a foreign conflict the center of American life. Piers Morgan clearly expected a polished, obedient guest who would validate his talking points. Instead, he got Tucker Carlson, a raw, America-first patriot, systematically dismantling every allegation right to his face.